Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, we'll be talking about a storm system. I will be going over the heat across the west, but I will be also focusing on a large storm, as you could tell by the title, that really isn't like a classic storm. It's more of like a elongated cold front, but it's definitely going to be bringing a large area of showers and storms across, especially the southeast, eastern US, and these showers are loaded with precipitation. I'll tell you in just a bit what happened across my place just a few hours ago. But before we do that, if you guys would like to subscribe to this channel, obviously don't just do that if you don't know anything about this channel. Check it out, right? Watch the video, see if you like it, then you could consider subscribing. If you're a returning viewer, hello, welcome. You guys are the best, and if you could like the video, that'd be awesome. And anyone that is new or old, leaving a comment, I pretty much answer all of them, so feel free to write your comment, concerns, questions, whatever. Okay, let's get into this. So first off, let's take a look at the radar of the United States. So earlier I mentioned that there was an event that took place across my location. I'll tell you about it. Well, really, it's not as dramatic as maybe I'm making it up to be, but it was actually a little thunderstorm, literally of that size. I could actually backtrack this. I live right around this neighborhood, and if you take a look at this, there's that little storm. Right? I mean, you could see the heavy rain. I'm telling you, I think we got around an inch in that little burst of rain. I mean, it was so efficient at producing rain, and atmosphere is just supportive of this thunderstorm activity. Super, it wasn't even severe. I mean, really, it was lacking in any kind of severe weather. It was just a efficient rainmaker. We didn't really need the rain. Quickly, everything flooded. The streets completely almost filled with water, and it literally, as you saw right there, I think I used the word literally like 40 times in the last sentence, but that thing formed right, really kind of above my location, right above me, quite literally, and that's. I was caught off guard because I wasn't suspecting any rain, right? I was in the garden and I didn't look at the radar. Normally, if there's a high chance of rain, like 70, but today there was only 20% chance. I mean, like that was a tiny little thing across the whole area. I was like, oh, we're probably not gonna get any more. And it was sunny. I saw a little cloud. It was a little bit of a kind of a cluster of some cumulus clouds, and they started growing quickly. And I felt some few raindrops, and I was not expecting an inch of rain. It was, definitely good since it's dry, but at this point we've seen a lot of it. But I'm just saying, because this does not look as impressive, but you get caught under one of these things or just a random one develops, you get soaked. It's some of the biggest drops I've ever seen in my life in terms of rain. It sounded honestly like a hailstorm when I was outside, and for a second I thought it might have been hailing, which is possible in the stronger storms for sure. You can see like the larger ones right here. That's definitely larger, especially the severe warned ones, which I'm sure there are a few. Really not, a ton, really, but there definitely are a few, especially towards the northeast. So this will continue sagging to the south and very slowly. Notice the heat. It is still extremely warm across the northwest, which actually takes me to the GFS model. And let me quickly show you the temperature anomaly. So let's get the heat out of the way. Figuratively and literally. Notice that Montana, Idaho, Washington, southwestern Canada, very, very warm. Those anomalies are truly just absolutely stunning, and I think Canada broke its record 2 days in a row. So it broke its all-time record on one day, and then the second day came and broke it again. A viewer commented that down below, so thank you for letting me know. I don't know. Maybe there could be a third one, or there wasn't one today broken. I'm not sure, but these anomalies are definitely supportive of that. But notice that definitely very, very warm, and also very cool. Well, that cold front is, and a lot of cloud cover. That's usually how it is. Cloud cover outflows from all these thunderstorms. It keeps it cooler. And when the soil is wet, it definitely takes a lot more to warm it. So that's why it could be humid, but not necessarily warm on the thermometer and mercury. That's what the thermometer measures. No, it doesn't measure humidity or the feels like. Notice that the heat, it continues. We are now into July 4th, which I'll go over the forecast for July 4th on the precip. Notice, temperature-wise, I would say pleasant across the south, southeast. Getting warm towards the north, and just pretty darn warm across the northwest. No hundreds, I would say, for Seattle like there were, but definitely still above average. One of the warmer July 4th. I don't know the history of July 4th across Washington. Maybe one of the hotter ones, maybe the hottest in some locations. But notice that this heat kind of spreads, but it's mixed in with a lot of these cool shots, cool waves, right? Cloud cover, outflow cluster, Just a lot of activity, and that's usually during the summer. It's not like during the winter we see warm, we see cool. It's just all really random. I mean, you can see right there, that's from thunderstorms, right? And then look, we could see potentially another heat wave coming back to the northwest, reinvigorating around July 10th, 11th, so that would be really bad news. Maybe hopefully the GFS is wrong. Definitely keeps it warm, but not too bad. Definitely shifts that heat further towards the east, but it's definitely not as significant. Okay, so that's the forecast. Obviously a bit more concerned about the heat than the cool weather. I shouldn't really be concerned about the cool weather across summer unless it's something really significant, like frosts in Chicago or Minnesota, which has never happened in June or July. The heat is usually, obviously, the bigger story. Okay, so let's take a look at the GFS model. Very good model. Notice this is a pretty fresh model run, 18Z. And look at this cold front that just developed here. I mean, a lot of precipitation. And this is actually depicting what is going on right now across the radar. And yes, it's obviously a bit overdone in a GFS. That's the nature of these global models. But notice that's where the precip is, along the East Coast. And again, if you get under one of these, it's powerful. These storms are definitely efficient rainmakers. Atmosphere is saturated, and for the Southwest, that's the same. Look at these thunderstorms that are occurring. These are actually, some of them are severe warned, but again, I assure you, they are also producing torrential rainfall with these storms. And I mean, that's not good if it's across a single location. That means that we start seeing these flash floods potentially, but any reservoir that gets that is gonna see a quick fill up to a certain degree. Obviously, it's not gonna make up for everything that's been lost. Let's see what's around Phoenix. Okay, an air quality alert. But notice, yeah, definitely this just continues across to the Southwest, which I would say is more of a good thing than a bad thing, despite the flash flood concern. So notice that cold front sticks around for a while. This is Thursday now. Tomorrow, notice it hasn't moved that much. Notice that it consolidates into several bands of storms, say, for the Northeast. Look, New Jersey, they saw so much heat. It's probably dry. Notice right there, it's many chances for rain. And even once that rain pushes out, you can see it's kind of very slow to move out. We see a low pressure starting to develop on the northern tip of this cold front. Very, very cool air behind this, or at least I should say cooler than average. It won't really be cold, obviously, for the summer. But notice, look at that, all the way extending into Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia, Mississippi. It won't be severe, these storms. A few can. Definitely not a giant severe weather threat, but if you get one, you could get some damaging winds, some large hail, even, again, the rain, which is a pretty big risk. And notice, look what's happening across the Southwest. New Mexico, Arizona, continuing seeing that very, very heavy rainfall. And yeah, that could definitely lead to some flash flooding if it's across the same area every single day. And notice, look at that. I mean, this cold front technically pushes off the Northeast before July 4th, right? This is July 3rd. But look at that. A little cluster of storms across the Northeast, across the South. And this cold front is stubborn. By the 4th, it's still pivoting some showers into Maine, into Massachusetts, Connecticut, but generally drying out. But notice the Southwest seeing continued rain. I mean, look. So for the 4th, I said I was going to go over the forecast. Again, this is at around 1/7, so when most folks are celebrating their July 4th, it definitely could be a pretty nasty one for Minnesota and North Dakota and portions of South Dakota if there is a lot of storms that do develop. As noticed, this could be some explosive development, definitely some damaging wind. Hopefully, it does develop kind of after dark, so at least you could get the days and maybe not the fireworks shows. But yeah, that seems like the biggest area. Notice the Southwest, New Mexico, Colorado seeing more and more rain. But anywhere else, really, some light showers. Maybe some cloud cover across the eastern portions of, or western portions of Pennsylvania, eastern Ohio. Generally, not a bad forecast. Definitely could be worse. Look at that. We have an actual tropical storm right there across the Caribbean. So better than that, right? But notice, that's something to watch for. That explosive development moves into the United States. I should say further south into the United States, as it was in the United States just now. The 6th is further across the Great Lakes. Look at the Southwest, the West, Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska, seeing those thunderstorm chances pretty much daily. And look at that tropical disturbance. The GFS, I think this is one of the few model runs, or just started showing this. Look at that. Right there, 982, that's a beast. Obviously, 982 isn't a strong hurricane, but to be honest with you, any tropical storm, tropical depression, even if it's a weak hurricane, especially obviously if it's a hurricane, should be taken with much regard. And hopefully, this doesn't occur, but it's not too far out. This isn't like in a 300 hours out. This is kind of going from La La Land into, potentially reality. So definitely something to watch for. And even if it doesn't form into a strong system, there could be a lot of moisture associated with that. Notice that it does drag a lot of showers across the Great Lakes, a few other systems. Look at the Southwest. The monsoons continue going on across New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona. And look, that little disturbance, similar to last year, if you remember, tropical storm, I think it was Isaias, went across the northeast coast. Similar fashion, probably not as strong. And again, this is pretty far out. So, but look at that. A lot of moisture, obviously, with that. A lot of rainfall, something to watch for. And notice continued development of rain. So, yeah, this isn't anything to do with our big storm that I was talking about, which is a cold front, but definitely still an active and, unique pattern. Notice the Southwest continued monsoons, and that eventually could push into Montana, Utah, so that's good. Last year, they didn't see really much of a monsoon season at all. This year, it's definitely different. I mean, look at that. Arizona, New Mexico, those amounts aren't giant, but at least it's gonna keep the drought from getting historically worse. It's already pretty bad. You can already call it historic. I was gonna say from preventing it from getting historic, but it's already kind of historic. So that could provide a lot of relief. Unfortunately, the deep west, the California and Nevada, kind of sticking out of that. But, I'm telling you, if you get even a few of these systems, which, again, I have a feeling these models are underestimating. Look at that. I'm assuming there's a reservoir runoff from these mountains right here. That's probably dumping several inches of water. And look how long it's been just sitting there. That's most definitely leaving quite a bit of footprint of rain. And again, that rushes down into the reservoirs and probably fills up much needed water for the California Valley. A lot of folks across California are used to not using, or not seeing rainfall as kind of direct rainfall, as these locations, they go for really dry spells. They're super long. They don't see like Kansas, Missouri, where folks that have farms are like, oh, we need watering from just direct sky. A lot of these folks use irrigation, and that's why irrigation is kind of a big thing here. But it's getting to the point, not that, oh, it's not falling anymore, the rain, like the reservoirs of water are low. That's why it's such a dangerous situation. There aren't many reservoirs across Kansas, Nebraska. Yeah, there are a few, but usually it's very wet and they don't need that. They could go whole seasons without using it. At least that's how I'm going from, Illinois. That's how they grow most of the crops here across the Midwest. Not many folks have full irrigated farms here. They have to, because there could be whole seasons where they don't go see any rain. But notice the mountains see rain, or snow, and they use that. But you can't waste all of it quickly, because it feeds people, or just a lot of pressure on these reservoirs to be filled. And notice, look at that, across Nevada, some storms. That's much needed, and it's definitely useful. And some of these rainfall totals for the past several days have been rather impressive. So yeah, it's always just cool for me to just see, like, finally the Southwest seeing rain, the areas that have drought. It's always kind of satisfying knowing that, if obviously not area wide, but even the few areas that do see this rain, it's much needed. So that's always really pleasant to see. And then further across the southeast, again, it is drier a bit across Florida, but if that tropical system were to bring some of that moisture, that could definitely increase its threat. But yeah, here we would also like some moisture, but unfortunately it's not looking like it will be. So let's take a look at the NAM. So let's take a look at the storm system we have going on currently, and let's go less further out and more into the short range. So again, this model only goes out to 84 hours. Look at the rain amounts here, right? Notice, not bad. A lot of these, you can see the NAMs trying to kind of isolate where the heavy storms will occur. Again, kind of ignore it. Just be prepared and listen to your National Weather Service where they think the highest chances will be. Probably is where they will be. It's kind of frustrating how people use little crummy weather apps, and they think that that's like, oh, if they're wrong, the weather's so inaccurate. It's a surprising amount of people that don't know that the National Weather Service is the official source of weather. And there's a lot of people that don't like the National Weather Service because of the times they may have been wrong. But I've been tracking the weather, seeing different organizations, AccuWeather, Weather Channel. There's a ton of them. National Weather Service always stands out in expertise and knowledge and accuracy, and I'm sure many people could agree with that. Notice, again, some locations could pick up. It does do a good job of predicting, 3-4 inches in some, and then 0 in others. So it's just kind of a hit or miss. And notice across the west, you see the Sierra Nevada, it shows not many locations getting over half an inch, but just from that thunderstorm alone occurring, there's probably several inches. So it's hard to predict these thunderstorms, but the atmosphere is so buoyant. I'm telling you from experience, we still have water standing outside in giant puddles from just that little burst of rain. So yeah, definitely impressive. This is the FV3. Notice it is very, very high res. Often does a pretty good job, but again, it's very tough to predict these thunderstorms. I mean, literally impossible. The fact that we even have models doing this is extremely impressive. And notice, look at that. Right, we have some a more elongated cold front right there. That was some of the action that occurred earlier. Now it's 7 o'clock, so this model came out at 12. That's why it's a bit behind. Notice, right, precipitation mainly driven by the daytime heat, but notice even during the overnight hours, 3, 4, 5, erupting across Missouri into Ohio. This is a nice band of rain. Again, moves off. Again, some of this will be severe into Michigan, Illinois, right, Ohio. Look at all these storms. You know, not super powerful, but they definitely could drop quite a bit of rain. Oklahoma, Arkansas. Again, I would say it's overdoing the threat up here. It's more going to be to the south. Look at that little corridor of very heavy rain. Look at that. Delaware, Maryland, seeing quite a bit. Into New Mexico, the Sierra Nevada, right? Again, Colorado, a lot more rain on its way. Some of these clusters getting pretty large into Texas. And look at that. Very, very widespread rain threat. Could be pretty heavy as this slides off towards the northeast into Friday and into Saturday, but it should be out of there by July 4th. Notice it does get pretty powerful on Friday. Look at that across the south. Definitely a few of those will be severe, but cool air behind this for sure. If I were to take a look at the 2 meter temperature shaded, doesn't have the anomaly, but look, the daytime highs in the 70s, you know, across the Midwest. Pretty warm up here, unfortunately, but that is very pleasant. So yeah, that is basically what I wanted to show you. Let me just show you the NAM 3KM. It's another great model that shows kind of the precipitation forecast. It's very high res, usually not too accurate, unfortunately, but come on, I'm just clicking on here. And notice that it does definitely favor the northeast, the south, not really the Gulf states, but more of the central south, and of course the monsoons across the southwest, which is very much so a good thing. Notice not much across the northwest or the southwest Canada, which is definitely a growing concern. I'll take a look at a few more. The Canadian model, high res. Notice it's a bit not as high res, but it does a pretty good depiction, again favoring the central south and northeast. Not as much so the southwest, but again, it's very hard to predict that, so, you know, got to give it some slack. HR DPS, a less high res or less far out model, only goes for the northern kind of US. Notice it definitely goes heavy with those rain amounts, and I'm telling you, some of these could definitely pack a powerful punch in terms of rainfall. Yeah, probably several inches, I would assume, within even a few hours. I mean, we literally got an inch in, I think, 15 minutes. Super efficient. A very warm rain. I was surprised how warm it was when I was feeling it with my water, or with my hand. All right. Before I completely start messing up, let me just show you the Canadian itself, and its high-res cousin. Notice it shows some pretty decent amounts right there, especially towards the south. I'm assuming some tropical storm action, some help. Definitely favoring a bit towards the southwest with that precipitation, though not as bulky as the GFS, but I mean, it does go less further out, but even so, the GFS definitely shows a lot of rain out over there. And now this is the European model. Yeah, shows a lot of precipitation across the south. I mean, look at those amounts. That's all over, well over 6 inches. And again, 6 inches is a lot even in a 10-day forecast. Notice Indiana, Ohio, 1 to 2 inches, 3, favoring the southeast, the mid-Atlantic, the northeast. This is kind of blurred out, but again, some locations probably will be seeing 4, 5, 6 inches. Others, you know, maybe just an inch. Maybe even less. Notice it does keep a bit more rain across the northern plains, which is good. Favoring the rains across the southwest, and not intensely, as I would say the GFS, but I mean, you could see half an inch, and further closer to New Mexico and Mexico itself, you can see decent rains. And look at Mexico. I mean, that's a lot. I know I do have some Mexican viewers. So notice, yeah, I mean, I would assume that's a lot of rain for on average. You don't see that much, especially the mountains. That's a decent amount. Unfortunately, dry across the northwest and southwest, which is not good. Southern Canada, my folks living there, haven't forgot about you. Notice decent rains for sure as well, though maybe a bit further in the long range. Not necessarily from this big storm we're talking about right now, which again is just more of like a cold front, not necessarily a giant storm. I mean, you can see there's some circulation there. And the European just running it through, again, a lot of that tropical moisture, not necessarily an actual system with it, but just a lot of free roaming moisture. And again, it does keep things interesting as well. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking, consider subscribing. Uh, well, I'll catch you on the next episode. I almost forgot what to say there. See ya. Bye.